Hey folks, welcome to another Lifter LMS Ask Us Anything call. I just flew in from Minneapolis and boy are my arms tired. Okay, that's about as much fun as I can have with sounds right out of the gate. Okay, folks, welcome to another Lifter LMS Ask Us Anything call. Some people already know the plot, so I already see that we've got some people checking in. Mary Lou, hi, welcome to the call. Gary, great to have you here again. Folks, if you are new to this, go ahead and put your questions in the chat. So whatever channel you're watching us on, it could be Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, X, it could be anywhere. Put your questions into chat so we can answer that for you. Also, remember that when we do answer your question, we tend to give a little more extra detail because this is also replayed in our Facebook channel afterwards. We put the replay in Facebook so that if someone wants to see the replay, they certainly can. Now, as we talk about things, you might want to try something with Lifter. If you want to try Lifter LMS and you want to try like some of the paid add-ons, right? Because Lifter LMS core version is free, right? So there's a free version, but if you want to try like, groups or advanced quizzes or advanced videos or something like that, I would recommend trying lifterlms.com/try. That's $1, but we host a sample website for you for 30 days and we give you access to all of our add-ons in a fully populated website so you can see the way a website should work when you put in Lifter LMS. So that's a great way to go there. And then last but not least, before we start going live with everybody's contributions here and finding out what the heck Emily's been up to for the last week, we go here and we say, hey, if you like something that's discussed here and you want to do more than the trial site, you want to own it, you want to use it, go to lifterlms.com/AMA-gift, AMA-gift. And, you get 55% off. You get a coupon there. It'd be awesome. Emily, what's going on?
Not getting much sleep. I'm averaging 6 or 7 hours. So that's sad. But I'm here. I'm awake. And yeah, I've just been doing very light custom coding work, reconstituting my business into more consulting, and trying to figure out some in-depth stuff with business canvas modeling and other associative tools.
Well, if we go in the Wayback Machine and we think about things the way we used to talk about things before, we used to talk about, the 5 hats of an entrepreneur and all that kind of stuff. And I got to tell you, it does become burdensome after a while. Like business starts to grow and you're like, maybe I should hire someone to do some of this stuff. And on the other hand, you're like, I really don't want to pay for people to do this stuff, but I can't really so your marketing, your accounting, your support, your all these things at once. And I can definitely see how that can weigh on someone unless you really just start adding to the team and start cutting people some checks.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think working with other people is not like my first thing that I'm like working on as far as like hiring people in. I've hired contractors and worked with contractors before and like tried to hire on full-time team members, but I haven't really had like a lot of success. And I think that probably the reason for that is not having a lot of clear direction about and enough margin and clear direction to have like a complex skill set to answer these WordPress questions isn't something that I've found the questions clients are asking me in the range and the depth. I haven't found a great way to bring other people into the process of supporting me on that yet.
That is an incredibly unique space that you're in. And unfortunately, I'm in it to a certain extent too, but our channels are a little bit different, right? And so what'll get me is I'll be in a group, I'll be in let's say I'm in a different mastermind. And then if I don't go to that for a couple of sessions, then I come back, they're like, oh, thank God you're here. You know, we had some questions last time, and you seem to know everything about this and that and the other. And I'm like, well, if I'm such a stinking great expert in these things, why am I not charging $900 an hour? Like it's just like, at what point, you know, is the threshold for the value of the information or the delivery of the information? I was watching this girl. Oh, big stretch. Oh, that feels good right through the back. I was watching this girl on YouTube, and she was basically saying information's dead. Like, just because you have information doesn't make you more valuable or whatever, right? She was saying information's dead. People can, with AI, they can look up this, they can look up that, different search engines. That, you know, getting information isn't the hard part anymore. But then what she was leaning on was like more of that whole personalized experience, right? So, who are you giving the information to, and what specifically are you helping them to overcome? And it's the stuff that we've talked about before, right? Like having the right avatar. But it's like trying to package up all the stuff that you know and make it attractive to a certain client set is very difficult without alienating the other part of the client set. You know, like if I, like for me, if I just went after motorcycle dealership owners and I didn't make sure that like automotive dealers know I could do it and marine dealers know I could do it, and it just seems like you're eliminating so much potential market. But then realistically, have you penetrated the original market in the first place, right? Before you're worried about expanding a market. And it's the whole marketing talk is, I think with AI, it's getting much more nuanced and confusing. Look at all these people signing in. Willie's here, Delphine's here. We've got some stuff going on. You want to jump in and do some stuff?
I'm happy to. I'm in the background. I'm loading up a bunch of sound effects. You could see in the sound effects panel.
Poor Chris, he's going to come back and he's going to be like, what the heck is that? So, yeah. All right. I feel like I'm on a roll here. If we go into comments and we take a look at Gary. Gary says hi. He's from Winnipeg. Mary Lou says, good afternoon. We're creating a formal enrollment tracking for our courses. Okay. We have a course that has a prerequisite for information prior to a live course or a Zoom course. Okay. So let's see what here. Sorry, what's the best way of doing this? Okay. Now we're getting somewhere, Mary Lou. We're getting somewhere. One of the things that Lifter LMS can do, and I'm sure Emily's going to have different strategies to talk about, is you could 19 different ways to do everything in WordPress. So we're creating a formal enrollment tracking for our courses. We have courses that has a I guess that's a prerequisite, right? Pre-question for information prior to a live course or a Zoom course. You could, I'm a big fan of this one, you could have a mini course. You could have a full-blown mini course that says, hey, take this mini course and see if you qualify for our live sessions. They take, 2 or 3 lessons. You slap on a quiz at the end. They pass the quiz. And even if you made it free, it becomes a lead magnet where they join your mail list, right? So now you've got their contact information. They've participated at a shallow level, and now you want to make sure they have some prerequisite information to come to the live session. I love the idea of using a mini course as a lead magnet, growing your mail list, and then converting people into the next deal. The other thing that you can do is Lifter LMS integrates with different form tools. And so you could say, using Gravity Form or Fluent Form or probably WP Form, whatever, you could grab one of these form tools and you could say you've got to fill in this form for some prerequisite information as part of the enrollment process. And so you would have a way to filter things that way as well. There's a couple of different ways to do this. Emily, what jumps off the page at you with this question?
We can demo how to do prerequisites in Lifter LMS if you wanted that. My recommendation, if I share my screen here, would be to have your prerequisite course. And I won't go into the full process of building out all these courses, but you said you had a live course and a prerequisite course. So I'm just going to click the Add New Course button 2 times. And then, we could say live or Zoom course. this is going to be where a lot of our information is going to come. So you can say like, here are the details for Zoom. Here are the details for live. They could be different courses. You could offer them as the same course. Regardless, you can take these little sections and make them only visible for enrolled users in this course. So you can say like, if you're going to find the live details or you're going to find the Zoom details, you have to be enrolled in the course. So that's kind of how you would enroll, pay money, whatever it might be, to get access to this information. We can set my course up to go live, and then this is our prerequisite course. And the prerequisite course might feature more content. We might have more instructor information. We might actually build this thing out in the builder. But let's just schedule this to be live right now. And then if we roll back over to our live or Zoom course, which has the other course needed as a prerequisite, what we can do is go to General Restrictions, Prerequisite, enable prerequisite course or course track. And then we can select prerequisite course that we just created. And so that way you have to complete the prerequisite course before moving on to this live or Zoom course purchase. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah. And then if we misread the question, Mary Lou, if it was actually like, we want to share some information with them, but have them fill out a form, just make the form like one of the assignments in that mini course, like that prerequisite course. So you can add a form as an assignment. You can add a form as you must fill out this form to get to the next thing. There's all kinds of ways that you can gather more information or more engagement from people within the learning system if you leverage the other tools that are available. Let's see. So that takes care of Mary Lou. I was hoping she was going to be live with us because I thought she was, and she was going to give us more details about her question. But I haven't seen her pop in yet. So let's move on. Delphine says, hi from Merritt, British Columbia. Great to see you. Willie Davis. There is a gentleman in my town. His name is Willie. Willie's one of my favorite people. He smokes meat as like a hobby business kind of thing. Like it's not like a real commercial business, but he smokes meat for a fee. And he's just a super, super nice guy. Super nice guy. So Willie, you're already halfway there with me. Says, can I facilitate a course through LifterLMS with asynchronous learning? Yes. That's originally what LifterLMS was basically built for, right? People learn at their own pace. So you build a course, people enroll in the course, they take the course in their own time frame, and when they're done, you can automate, a certificate if that's what you want to do for people. Like right out of the chute, that's how LifterLMS was designed. It was designed for course creators. Like you want to make a quilt. Great, I'll teach you how to make a quilt. Here's my 10-lesson course on how to make a quilt. And then people sign up, pay $15, take the course on how to make a quilt in their own time. And when they're all done, they're done, right? So that was kind of like the original LifterLMS kind of like setup. But over time, things morph, right? Things change, things grow. And so you can do so much more with Lifter now. You can combine courses into bundles and packages through our membership features. You can do synchronous learning. You could literally put people into a cohort and then say that it's a group of people going through the course at the same time. So that's like one way that people would loosely call synchronous learning. But to me, the next level of synchronous learning is you can integrate tools like Zoom, and I just had a vapor lock on the other one. Jitsy's another one. So you can do Zoom, you can do Jitsi, and then I use one that is called, I've locked out. What is that one that I use? They're nice people too. That's like from Norway or from the Netherlands. Anyway, it's another live meeting tool. You can embed these different live meeting tools into the course and lesson structure of LifterLMS. So let's say that I integrate Zoom, right? Because we have a blog post on our website that talks about integrating Zoom. If you go and you search box Zoom, boom, you'll see the blog post pop up. So let's say you integrate Zoom. You could say, we're going to do the synchronous learning example. We're going to get together every Wednesday at noon. right? So you could say every Wednesday at noon, we're going to have the next lesson. Lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4. Every Wednesday at noon, people go into the next lesson. They click on the Zoom embedded tool that's there that gives them access to the Zoom meeting. And that way, you're kind of like refiltering people that attend your Zoom call. Like if you have a publicly posted Zoom link, sometimes you don't know what's going to show up in your Zoom meeting. We've learned that the hard way. That's why we're in StreamYard now. But if you have it inside one of your lessons, then they have to be a member or a student to get into the membership or the course where that lesson is, and then get access to that link. So it does you a better security filtering to get people into your lesson. Now, what's cool about it is you put the Zoom inside the lesson. Boom, they open up the Zoom meeting. They have the meeting. When they close the meeting, they're still on the lesson. They mark it complete. Then they can go to the assignment or the quiz that follows the synchronous session. So there's all kinds of things that you can do with Lifter now. But to your point, the original question, can you facilitate a course for asynchronous learning? Absolutely, right? Getting the right information could be even more valuable now. Yes, Willie, I agree. This comment popped up right when we started, and we were talking about information. The idea of information's dead and delivery is more important. I actually think, Willie, and bear with me on this one. I've been working in WordPress since 2004, and I think the biggest part of the value of working with me or people on my team at Mañana No Mas is because we know what to say no to. Like there's over 60,000 plugins in the WordPress repository. I'm obviously not an expert in even a tenth of those, right? But I have a really solid stack of 20 to 25 tools. And I have a really great skill set at identifying garbage in the repository and things not to put on a website. And so sometimes I think that is where the real value is. Someone comes to me and says, I want to have an online learning program, but I also need to run a mail list and send newsletters and custom messaging. And I need people to be able to set appointments and prepay for appointments for one-on-one coaching and consulting calls. In my mind, I've already put together those 6 tools that I'm going to build into a framework of a website for somebody, right? And once that framework's in place, then we can focus on the content and get the content in and make sure it does the messaging properly for the client. But I think that's where that skill comes in, right? That's where the value is. Because if you started blind and started shopping through the WordPress repository looking for solutions, you might need some prescription medication. Well, that's a pretty weak air horn. There it is.
Right. We got a couple of them. We have like hot interested, like someone asks a question.
Huh?
Or like that might be.
Oh, I think this is going to be dangerous. We're going to be going down a thing. So here it says, I've been given the answer to this, but would like your opinion too. Mary Smith registered with her email and paid for the course for Jane Jones. Probably not a great plan. Now Jane Jones wants to take the course, but Mary Smith's email is set up as the login username. How can we change Mary Smith's email login username to Jane Jones' login username? This is one of the things that is can become a nightmare. This is the reason why I have some clients that actually pay for WooCommerce and then pay for gift cards for WooCommerce. Because the way that the system's set up, the email address can only be used once to buy a specific product. So if I have course 1, 2, and 3, and I use Kurt at mañananomas.com to buy course 1, I can still buy course 2 and course 3, but I can't buy a version of course 1 for my best friend Emily, right? That's not going to work because it's going to come up, it's going to say this email address is already in use. So that's what's going to happen there. And once someone creates a user account with an email address, there's probably ways that you could go into about changing that email address, but on the on the back end from the admin access and the back end of the website, there's really not a way to change that email address, right? You'd have to go into the database and make changes. Am I correct, Emily?
You could change the email if you were to just jump in. I think the complicated thing is if that second user also has an account. So if both Mary and Jane have an account, good name choices, then you would have to like maybe delete one account or change the email on one account, which is complicated. So merging accounts is interesting, but as an admin, you can just edit their user here and swap out the email. The only thing that won't change though is the username, which will, if Mary was the one who originally purchased it, it would be like Mary68 or whatever WordPress generates, but you can change the name and email right here. The student can also do so on their student dashboard page. If they go to their dashboard, if I am pretending I'm a student, dashboard, LifterLMS, they have edit account. And then they should be able to come here, change email, type the new email, and then that confirmation link will go out to say, are you sure you want to change the email? And they should be good to go.
But the username stays the same.
The username stays the same, but you can always log in with the email address. So that's why I'm like, I personally just disable username login options and just say like it's your email and your password. That's the only two information pieces you have to know. But yeah, the username is optionally like you do username or email and password. So, those are some options to think about.
And this is it. Mary Smith paid through orders. Paid through orders, paid through orders, paid through orders. I don't know. I'm lost on that one. Yeah, I mean, like the record of the payment is through orders, but she did it through an access plan, I imagine. You can't really pay through orders, right?
Right. Yeah, Mary paid through. If someone signed up for a course, it's basically just like swap their email on the user account and then ask them to log in with the email and password.
Yeah, it's a working solution. It can work. All right, I want to welcome Robert Pomedley to the call. Robert Pomedley. Hopefully I'm saying it right, Robert. You have a multilingual vocabulary training course of 3 sizes, which overlap: 150, 450, and 1,000 word sizes. What is the best strategy for the lessons that overlap? Is there a way to reuse the lessons? Yes, and this would probably require a screen share because everyone gets lost on this. If you, let's say you create the 150 word size course, right? And so now you've got so many lessons and it's all for the 150. To me, the easiest thing, like if it's the same but now expanded, I would just clone that course and then add the 300 words for the 450 class. And then I would clone that class, right? And then I would edit and add the 550 more words for the 1,000. But let's say that we're doing things a little bit differently. Let's say that you've got these courses done, but now you want to add 10 lessons to each of those, right? When you add a lesson, you would add the lesson to the 150 course. And then when you go into the 450 course, and you're in the course builder, there's another option over there, right? So it says add a lesson or add an existing lesson. And when you add an existing lesson, you basically just search that out and it copies that lesson to that course for you. Emily, can we show that?
Yeah, it looks like there's a couple different questions here, like that one about how do I copy my existing work, but also adding that multilingual element. So to copy that work, right? So if we had our course that was
150 words.
So this is our course containing 150 words. And then what we could do, of course, jump into our course builder, build this thing out with all the lessons, right? It invokes curiosity naturally. That's why the button is blue. Yeah, so we build out our course, all of our lessons. We could talk about multilingual in a second, but like Kurt's saying, once you're satisfied with your 150 word course and you're ready to move on, just click the clone button that you find on the courses menu. And then it'll take a second and it'll say 150 words in draft. We can just change this to our 450 and then start adding some additional content there. Just keep going.
Sweet. In the course builder, can we show the add an existing lesson spot?
Yeah. So if you wanted to add lessons from another course, you can do that with the add new lesson option. No, that's not it. How do I do that? Right here. Add existing lesson. So if we are not selected anything on the panel, we can add an existing lesson. And then we have an option. I think it's useful to highlight the minutia here.
And like that, Emily is gone. I think what Emily was going to point out was in that dropdown when you search, when you start typing out the name of a lesson, it's going to come up with a selection of lessons. But let's say that you've already duplicated that lesson. So you have lesson 1, right? And then you did it for 3 other courses. So now it says lesson 1, lesson 1, lesson 1. Each of those lessons, lesson 1, lesson 1, lesson 1, each of those lessons is going to have an ID number next to it. So lesson 1, ID 951, lesson 1, ID 1022, lesson 1, 3005, whatever, right? But they all have ID numbers. And so those ID numbers are is specifically that lesson for a specific course. So sometimes you want to add an existing lesson the way it is displayed in a certain course, and for that you would want to look up its specific ID number, which you can see right next to on the screen share that Emily has up. Like it says new lesson, the bottom one, new lesson ID 4519, right? And so if that is specifically the lesson that I want to copy for another course, when I search it out, I can search it out by ID number, or I can search it out by title and then match up the ID number. But that's how you get the specific lesson that you want to duplicate, and you put that into the course.
Yeah, I don't know why my internet gave out there, but right? But my internet's free, so what do I have to complain about, I guess? But yeah, so you have lesson IDs, you add an existing lesson. We notice the minutia between attach and clone. When you delete a course in Lifter, it's useful for everyone to know this. If you just delete a course, all of the lessons of that course stay on your website floating around in space. So delete the course and make sure to delete lessons from that course. If you're trying to delete a course, I would recommend deleting all the lessons from the course before deleting the course, just so you clean things up. But that's why we see a bunch of these hanging around saying attach, but we could also detach lessons from one course and move them into another. So attach or clone will either attach one of your lessons that's currently floating around or clone a lesson that's already existing.
Perfect. All right.
That's LifterLMS for you.
LifterLMS. Willie likes the idea of someone that smokes meat. I smoke a lot of meat, Willie. I smoke a lot of meat. I made my own pastrami. Okay, that takes me to another story. Emily, did you hear my pastrami story from last weekend?
No, I don't think so.
So I want to grow my business, have some, and so there's this car place that worked on my wife's car, and it's an independent car shop. And I said, I think it has bad cooling fans, but I don't have the diagnostic tool to confirm if it's the fans or the wiring harness. And they said, I'll just bring it in. We'll check it for you. I said, yeah, because if it needs fans, I'm going to put them in. And they're like, yeah, totally cool. So they diagnosed the car. They go, it's the cooling fans. It's $700 to put them in. I went, I'm going to do it myself. They said, great, come get the car. I went to get the car and I said, how much do I owe you for diagnostics? They said, nothing. We don't charge for diagnostics. I said, that doesn't make any sense. I told you I was going to put the fans in. And they go, yeah, we don't charge for diagnostics. I was like, oh, whatever. And so I was thinking, how could I do something nice for them? And I didn't want to just like send them a pizza. Like, I didn't want to swipe my credit card to show them nice. I wanted to do something nice, right? So I had made my first homemade pastrami with a brisket. Have you ever had homemade pastrami?
Yeah.
So good. So I shaved it down on the slicer. I made hot pastrami and Swiss sandwiches, packed up some chips, some fresh salsa that I make myself, some iced teas, ran them over to the shop on a Friday, and gave everybody lunch. I thought the owner of the shop was going to cry. And then through the conversation eating lunch, I said, I know she didn't even have an active website. What's up with that? That's what I do for a living. And boom, new client, just like that. My pastrami is magic.
Nice.
All right. Boom. Good afternoon. Is there a way to remove the feature image from the course page, but still be visible in the course catalog? I think that's a yes.
Indeed. And there's more context about like what theme you're using. I assume if you're asking that question, you're using SkyPilot. But maybe not. Maybe Astra or Cadence might be defaulting to putting the image on there. But let us know what theme you're using, because depending on the theme, it's a different answer.
Yeah. So one thing to remember about dynamic content and using tools like Lifter or WooCommerce or other tools, dynamic content typically adopts the core styling of whatever your theme is. And so there are, like, I had a customer that was on the Avada theme. Have you ever heard of the Avada theme? That is garbage. None of the stuff for Lifter works right in that guy's website. Like, the buttons aren't buttons, things are links. It's mayhem, absolute mayhem whenever I try to help that customer with something. But it's that comes up for, wow, spam. I got a lot of spam calling my phone lately. I need to do that. They got that new app where you can get rid of spam. Anyway, yeah, so follow up with us, KJ, and let us know. And welcome to the call, by the way. But follow up with us and let us know what theme you're in. And then if we know specifically where it's at for that theme, we'll be sure to jump in and help you there. Now, Delphine gave a follow-up, said orders rather than vouchers is what I meant. Well, yeah, because vouchers would be like that free ticket, right? So if you gave someone a voucher and they signed up, bada boom, bada bing, like that's one thing. But orders means they're trying to sign up using the access plans, right? They're trying to purchase. And if that's the case, they could change their email address, by the way, Delphine. Like if it's a Gmail address, maybe the other person, Aunt Carol uses the original email address, and then the other person uses, Aunt Carol +1@gmail.com, and it's still a separate email address. There's 73 ways to get around that to get them the account. But then, like Emily had said, you can change the email address. It's just the username is going to stay the same. So they can sign in. You can change the email address of the first student, and then the second student can use their existing email address. So that makes sense. And then they can sign in with their email and password rather than their username and password. So that still works out really, really well. Robert, welcome to the call. Robert Pomdeli. What happens when they buy the first course and then buy the second? Have they completed the previous assignments? If we're talking about earlier in the show when we talked about, I see you back there. If we're talking about the question we had earlier where there was a prerequisite, if there's a prerequisite, if you have to finish the first course before you can buy the second course, if that's what we're talking about, they got to finish it. Like they got to finish it. And if you have assignments that need to be reviewed, they need to be reviewed before they can be marked complete. And so, yeah, like it has to be complete before they can sign up for the second course. That's if you have it listed as a prerequisite. If you aren't using prerequisites on your website, people can buy anything on your website. Like, I want to buy the first course, the second course. I want to buy a membership that gives me access to 4 other courses. They could do all kinds of things. But if you have it set up in a prerequisite system, then you limit the purchasability of your students based on their completion of other things. Hopefully I answered that correctly for you, Robert. If I missed the mark, send an update and let us know where we're at on that. Gary Alderson, for multilingual courses, is that Google Translate? Use the Google Translate. It worked very well for several years. Yeah, a lot of people go to that Google Translate. We also have a couple of other resources listed in the LifterLMS website. We've used Local Translate for a lot of things, and we use Local Translate internally for other issues. Like, let's say Instead of being courses, I want it to say classes. So you could go into local translate, you could translate English to English, and then say, instead of courses, I want it to say classes. There's a lot of ways to use these language tools above and beyond what they are originally designed for. So like that's something that like Google Translate wouldn't do, right? Google Translate wouldn't go in at that granular level, but Loco allows that. I've also used Translate Press on a few projects, and we've had some really good luck with Translate Press. But when you make manual translations in Translate Press, like let's say it's a site that has 12 different languages in it, we have had some instances, and I don't know if it's user error or a problem with the plugin, so I'm being very general here. The client says, oh, when so-and-so gets their receipt from WooCommerce, this sentence is in Portuguese. And sure enough, I open it up and then we go through and we duplicate it. And it says, yeah, it's in Portuguese. But then when I go into the Translate Press and I go into where manual translations are input, I'll see that Portuguese sentence in there as a manual translation. And so I just delete that and it fixes it. But the customer swears they didn't put that manual translation in that field. So I don't know how it's getting there. They swear they didn't do it, and I would never want to call a customer a liar. But frequently have a couple of different sites on Translate Press, and when they have a lot of languages, I've noticed. Now, keep in mind, the sites that I have that only have a couple languages, different client, maybe a different scenario, maybe. But that site with just 2 or 3 different languages, I've never had a problem. Never. And that Translate Press is pretty cool. I like it. I like the way that it works. It does affect, I guess we should bring that up. If you're like really fickle and really addicted to the idea of page speed, I have noticed that Translate Press seems to slow things down just a little bit, but you can overcome that with better hosting anyway. So if you have something that's making money, that has active students, and there's revenue coming in, and you want to have, a really good customizable translation to serve many people in the market and make lots of revenue, then increasing your hosting costs shouldn't be that big of a consideration. But I hesitate to give people that advice when they're starting out because, I guess I'm just going to say it. Emily, I'm going to say it out loud. I see a lot of people buy a lot of tools and buy a lot of subscriptions and spend a fair amount of money on some tools to try and make things perfect before their launch. And I see them spend themselves broke trying to launch the perfect thing. You heard me say earlier, if you already have students, if you're already building revenue, if right, you've already got a use case that's proven, then invest in the hosting and make it better. It's the U theme. I've never used a U theme. Do you know what the U theme is?
I Googled it when I saw the question come in. It looks like a WordPress theme library for Joomla as well. So it's kind of like maybe a more classic CMS theme library. So in the U theme, there's probably a way to control the template. I mean, there's definitely a way from a coding perspective to control the templates for custom post types. I assume the U theme is not familiar with LifterLMS at all, I would imagine. And so they probably don't declare support for custom post types, but I would inquire with them about what kind of support they offer for custom post types. And then maybe there's a way you could like customize the template for that. I assume your courses would inherit like a blog post layout because most themes will fall back. Most themes that don't support LifterLMS, that don't say, hey, is LifterLMS or LearnDash on your website? If so, we have a template for how to display a Lifter course and a template for how to display a Lifter lesson. That's like LifterLMS support. I assume UTheme doesn't have that, so you would probably inquire about custom post types in general and what their support for that looks like. Thank you.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right. Willie Davis is back. Willie Davis. The guy that smokes the meat, by the way, his name is Willie G. Iverson. Willie G. Iverson. And he says it like that because his voice is a little raspy. Anyway, does LifterLMS have personnel that assist with setting up services and courses on site? I am computer illiterate. Every developer seems to have a different approach solution. Not sure how to proceed. Yeah, that's one of the. So it's a mix of curses and blessings with WordPress, Willie, because WordPress is incredibly flexible. You get ownership of your product. You can host it anywhere you want. Like, there's so many advantages to using WordPress. The cons is that it's so flexible and so customizable that every developer you talk to is going to have something different to say, right? One thing that you could do, if you're interested, if you have the appetite for it, is if you look here at the bottom where the ticker is going across, it says hire an expert. And so we have a vetted list of experts on the experts page. So lifterlms.com/experts. And we have, again, a list of vetted experts, and that they can work with you at different levels that you require, right? Maybe you want the whole site built. Maybe you just want some consulting on how the course builder works. Maybe you want to learn yourself how to do something special in WordPress. That's there. So any scope of project in that experts listing, you can find someone that'll meet your needs. Emily is on the list as WP Course Guide. I am on the list as Mañana No Mas. And then we've got a couple of other regulars that come to like our office hours and our meetings that we do every week that are also on that list. There's also some bigger agencies. Like I think Web Dev Studios is on there, and Codeable's there. Codable is like a bank, an entire bank of developers that can do special tasks for you. So it's a really cool thing to do. Now, I would be remiss in my duties if I didn't bring up, I'm in the wrong site. Let me go to LifterLMS. And I'm not sure how much of this we're doing. I just know that it's a feature that we offer. And so let me go to share screen. Let me go to LifterLMS. And under software services, there it is. Software and services. Through LifterLMS, there's mission control, like do it yourself, right? You get the Infinity Bundle, weekly office hours, bam. Launch, done for you, right? So LifterLMS software setup, your brand, your colors, all installed in the SkyPilot theme. We install some demo content for you, and there's a one-on-one coaching call, and you still get access to the mastermind. And then the warp speed, right? Your content. So if you want your content installed and coaching calls and access to the mastermind, we have those available through our services page. So there are options. It just depends on what your budget is and the scope and scale that you're looking to do with people. But yeah, we can always figure something out there for you. So don't sweat the small stuff, Willie. If you need something done, just reach out and we'll see if we can't find the right person at the right time with the right skills for you. Mary Lou's back. She says, thanks. I was thinking of using a quiz to stop the course, then continue it when they pass the course to give them the information about the second course, which would be a lesson and not a mini course. Okay. So in order to have a quiz, we need a lesson because quizzes are attached to lessons. So it would be technically like a mini course to use our quiz tool. And that would keep everything in the LifterLMS reporting for you. So you would have like a course page with the lesson. The lesson would go straight to the quiz if you wanted it to. It could do that. What was I trying to think of? And give them information about the second. Oh yeah. Then you would have a set. So once they pass that quiz, then another lesson would open up, and that other lesson would be like the people that took this quiz successfully also enjoyed this course, blah, blah, blah. Click this link to sign up here, right? And that you could do that whole thing kind of like a pre-sale, post-sale opportunity. Did I say that in a way that made sense, Emily? I think I jarbled my words.
No, that makes sense.
Huh? Huh?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to structure access to content in LifterLMS, and at the end of the day, like, you can create posts and pages in WordPress. You can use any membership tool. LifterLMS offers you both the LMS features, which allow for courses and synchronization, in addition to membership-related features of payment in exchange for content. And Lifter can do that in so many ways, right? But these sound effects are really great. But yeah, Lifter can do it multiple ways. You can have like memberships. Like the lessons within courses are restricted by default. The content that you restrict to being only available in a membership is only available in a membership. And then, like I showed earlier, block visibility, you can make individual blocks visible to users in a certain course or membership. So Lifter has intricate ways that you can handle access depending on your use case. So whatever you want to set up, just kind of like Kurt said, figure out how to architect that into the technical system, but almost anything you want to do can be done.
Yeah. And there's there's so many other automation tools that work well with Lifter. Like on this call, we try to say using Lifter, using Lifter. We always trying to think in those terms, but like I was just thinking, like you could have a third-party quiz tool as a lead magnet somewhere else, and then when they successfully complete, something on that lead magnet, that could become part of your CRM tool that launches an automation that gives them access to, an access plan or enrolls them in a mail list or whatever. Like there's so many ways to do different things. But on this call, we try to keep it as simple as possible and stay within our framework as much as possible, if I'm making sense. Adam Silver, friend of the show. Great to see you, Adam. Great to see you. I am your guy for running stuff. I don't know, Adam. I'm just going to have to throw it out there. I think Chris is in the UK right now, and he's probably run around that country 4 or 5 times in the last 3-4 days. I don't know. That guy's running 30, 40 miles at a time. Lunacy.
Yeah.
All y'all are crazy. I did get some new shoes. Let me show you my new shoes. Hold on. I'll be back.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
Adam and Chris are doing an event together. I don't know when that's happening, but Adam, I've heard, is going to be supporting Chris on like a massive run across multiple states in the US.
I bought the stupid barefoot shoes.
Those are really good.
They're super comfy. They're like lightweight. They're like slippers. You just put them on. They're very comfy. And I'm a bicyclist, so my calves are going to grow like crazy. I would much rather ride a bicycle for 30 miles than run 30 miles. They say it's like a 4-to-1 ratio, right? Yeah, it's like a 4-to-1 ratio. Like in bicycling, an event is a century ride, like 100 miles, century ride. And then when you run a marathon, it's 23 point something miles, right? So it's roughly a 4-to-1 ratio for like the ease. So I'm going to bicycle 400 miles this month. But then that means like someone of like my physical ability would have to run 100 miles in a month. I would much rather bicycle 400 miles than try to make my knees carry my fat butt for 100 miles in a month running. Shazam.
I would rather drive 30 miles. Everyone's got their thing.
Yeah. Are you still driving that Honda?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Those are cool because you can open up all the doors and then you can practice like diving through it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, KJ, you're on point. We've got 11 minutes left on the call. I can answer this question quicker than 11 minutes. It says, thanks for answering my last question. New one, is there a best way to export my Articulate 360 LMS files and import them to Lifter LMS? Yes, there is.
That was so dark. There's like a dark undertone to that.
Yeah. So if you go to lifterlms.com and you click on Learn and you click Academy, you're going to see a course on the Academy made by yours truly that is about using SCORM content in Lifter LMS. We also have a blog post. If you search out SCORM, it's there. If you went to a website called scormpress.com, that's one of my personal projects, and that leads to a course that I made that I sell on how to put SCORM into WordPress. The messaging is almost the same as the free course on Lifter LMS. So because you came to this call, I'm telling you where the free course is. The course that I charge for just has a couple of extra things in it, but I don't think that's a necessity or a requirement for you. KJ, Articulate is awesome, right? So I'm not going to bash Articulate. The thing that I bash about Articulate is the cost. Oh my goodness, is it expensive? And so I used to run the training division at Suzuki, the place where they make motorcycles, cars, and boats. Not boats, just the motors for the boats. And I had this team of people. And for this team of people, we had to pay $3,000 a year per person for access to Articulate 360. And then on top of that, the company was paying hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for hosting and maintenance on a custom-built SCORM-based website. And so with my experience, not just with Suzuki, but with other corporate companies, I got somewhat obsessed with this idea that SCORM is so stinking expensive. Like to make the SCORM content, to publish the SCORM content, to host the SCORM content on custom SCORM websites can be a huge investment. I recently just put one of my clients' websites, they went with LearnUpon. So LearnUpon is a SaaS platform where you can put SCORM content. But then you look at the cost of LearnUpon, and then the idea that you can't customize anything in it. Like what you see is what you get, buddy. That's it. Whereas with WordPress, you don't just get the LMS, right? You don't just get the learning management system like Blackboard or LearnUpon or Bridge or one of those, but you get the LMS surrounded by a fully functional CMS that is WordPress. And so if you take a look at that course and you take a look at the blog post that we have about putting SCORM in WordPress, you'll see that there's a third-party plugin called GrassBlade. If you let your fingers do the walking and you start searching, how do I put SCORM in WordPress, you're going to see 50 other ways to do it. I'm going to tell you, I've looked at 48 of them, and none of them were as good as GrassBlade. And then I'm going to give you one last piece of advice. GrassBlade, as far as signing up for it and getting it, is a pain in the patootie if you're in the United States, because it's not here, it's somewhere else. And when you go to buy it, it won't go through. Like you'll go to buy it and the charge won't go through and you won't get it. And so you have to email them and say, I tried to buy it and I couldn't buy it. And then they're going to send you a custom link so that you can purchase it, and then it starts over. So when you go to buy it and it looks like it's a broken website, I'm telling you in advance, don't be upset. Just send them an email through the support link. They'll send you a custom link. You can buy it, and then it works. One of the things I hate about GrassBlade is because I am an agency, right? I would love to have agency access to the tool, and I would love to be able to use it on 30 websites. That's not the way GrassBlade works. GrassBlade is a per site license, and then access to the GrassBlade LRS, which is the learning record store, which helps sync the results of the learning to the reporting in Lifter LMS. That's separate as well. So you have the GrassBlade tool so that you can display the SCORM content, and then you have the GrassBlade LRS so that you can record the events of the SCORM package and relate it back to reporting for Lifter. So there's a couple of things there. It's all in the free course that's on lifterlms.com. And we cover a lot of it and how to do it in that quick blog post. If your appetite is like, I don't want to take a whole course, I just want the details, just look at the blog post first. And then if you like to, you can go back and take the course. That was a lot.
That's a lot. But it is like very important to identify. And I don't think other LMSs in WordPress they do. But on other platforms, you say, can I import my Articulate or SCORM content? It's implicit that you will be able to require completion of that content to complete a lesson. And that GrassBlade component is just so important if completion of the SCORM content is important or if it's supplemental.
Yeah. If you use Lifter LMS advanced quizzes and you just have learning content as the SCORM material, what you can do is you can use just the GrassBlade to play the SCORM material. And then when they finish the SCORM content, they're going to, go to the quiz, take the quiz, and then that's going to show them as completing the lesson and getting them a score. So there's ways that you can architect your user situation so that you don't have to pay for grass blade LRS. But if you have like quizzing or you're tracking events inside your SCORM package, like engagements and stuff like that you may have built into it, then you're going to want to have the LRS. All right, so let's see. We've got a couple of things. Manuel's back. Manuel says, I have 3 courses tied to a membership. How can I create and send a certificate to all students that have completed all 3 courses? Well, that would be more like a course track. Is that correct, Emily?
Yes.
And then I haven't looked at this, or if I have, it's been too long. If someone completes a course track, was there an automation for certificates based on completing a course track?
Yes. So you would do both a membership to grant access to 3 for 1, and then the course track would pay attention to multiple course completions, triggering that certificate.
Yep, we are there. I think we're getting closer and closer. You all came in with a bunch of questions here at the very end. So let's take a look. It says, where is the free course? I'm going to go back to my LifterLMS screen share. No, I'm not. I just turned it off. Share the screen. I was on the services page for Lifter, so I'm going to go back to, let's go back to the home page so people don't get lost. So LifterLMS.com. You're going to click on Learn. You're going to go to the Academy. The Academy, for some reason, is a link that a lot of people never find. And we've got a bunch of stuff in here. So the official Quick Start course, the Enroll Summit, and the 5-day 6-figure course, right? But if you click on Browse Courses, it's going to open up the whole course catalog. And you can see in here that there are a lot of options for you. And that SCORM course is right here. SCORM WordPress tutorial. It's free. It's got 7 lessons in it. You just click on this, enroll. Bob's your uncle. You're good to go. All right. So that covers that one. I'm going to remove that from the screen. Oh, thanks for putting the link in there. Fantastic. Now for Jeb. Jeb says the WooCommerce checkout isn't working for me. What can I do? If you have installed WooCommerce and you have enabled WooCommerce, then the setup will be through WooCommerce for like Stripe or PayPal or whatever it is that you're trying to take there. But I think the main thing is a lot of people install WooCommerce and go to the settings for WooCommerce and then fail to enable WooCommerce through the LifterLMS settings. Is that fair to say, Emily?
Yeah, there are so many ways that the WooCommerce thing cannot work. The first one is, like you said, you have WooCommerce and you have Lifter, but you don't have that integration configured. The second one is when you configure the integration, right? Second issue you'll find with configuring it is that you have to select an order status in WooCommerce of when orders reach this status in WooCommerce, we're going to enroll them in Lifter. Some people mix that up because they might say, oh, when the order's completed, enroll them in Lifter, which makes sense. But in order for an WooCommerce order to automatically be completed the second it's purchased, you have to select 2 boxes on the product. I don't think we have time to share that today, but we have a tutorial how to get started with LifterLMS and WooCommerce. Check it out in detail. Virtual and downloadable are 2 boxes you can check. It might seem unintuitive to be like, why would I check the downloadable box? Like, I'm not offering a download, I'm offering a course. But if you are wanting the order to go from pending payment, payment accepted, processing, all the way to completed immediately, you have to check virtual and downloadable so that WooCommerce is like, okay, there's no shipping on the product because it's virtual and it's downloadable, so they already have access. We don't need to grant them access, just make the order completed immediately. So check the boxes virtual and downloadable and set your order status to completed. That's the second issue you find, right? And then your WooCommerce orders will no longer go to the garbage.
Jab says, works irregularly when changing checkout page in WooCommerce advanced settings.
I don't know about checkout page advanced settings. Always make sure to require accounts when people are checking out. Make sure to require an account.
Yeah. All right. Krista says thank you. And with that, we're at the top of the hour. Folks, this has been a fun, engaging, if not loud version of the Lifter LMS Ask Us Anything call. Don't forget that if you go to lifterlms.com/AMA-gift you get access to a 55% off coupon there. And with that, I think I'm going to say goodbye for myself and for Emily. Go to wpcourseguide.com for Emily. Go to Mañana No Mas for me. And we'll see you next time. Anything else to say?
Hold on.
Huh?
Okay.
Hmm?
Oh, for goodness sakes. The outro video was disconnected. Now I got to play that.